So, hello everyone, and thank you all for taking time out today to join us in our electronic evaluation workshop. My name is Teyanna Walker, and I am a head high school counselor in San Francisco, California. And I am also a level 2 Google certified educator. And so I just wanted to take the time out today with a different hat on today. I have on my hat representing the Flip School Counselor. And I just wanted to show a couple of tools that school counselors can use in our practice. And so today we are going to be going over the electronic transcript evaluation. And hello and welcome. And so today we're going to be going over the electronic transcript evaluation. This is specifically for high school counselors. As I just got into the practice of doing my transcript evaluations online because I was physically taking home transcript evaluations of about 400 students over my breaks, like over a summer break or over our winter break. And one of my colleagues was an English teacher, and she told me that that being on Google Classroom was something that just eliminated at least 90% of her paperwork, and was always so organized and always so easy to use and easy to learn. And so because of that, I just got the idea of how about evaluating transcripts online. And then I just created this transcript evaluation I'm going to share with everyone, as well as show everyone how to make changes so that you can use it for your own districts. And also with Google Classroom, it makes it 1000% easy to share specifically with the students. And so I just want to share that with you. So at no further ado, let's get started. But first, we are going to be going over a few housekeeping things. And so I'm going to open up our portal so that we can enter in any questions that we do have. And there we go. So I'm going to put this link in the chat so that we can always have access to it. And so if and when you have any questions, then just click on this link, and then we will be able to see the question and also address the question at the end in our questions section. Okay. All right, and so everyone has that. And let's get on started. And so I did just want to first go over what the structure of this presentation is going to be. We are going to just quickly touch bases with each other and have an introduction and go over housekeeping. We will have our presentation and demonstration, and then we are just going to close with some time for questions and some time for feedback. And like always, I'm going to email you a copy of this slide deck. And also, because I am recording, I will also email you the recording of this presentation as well. And so, excuse me. And so, as a reminder, I am the founder and CEO of the Flip School Counselor. I have done presentations on Google Classroom at ASCA as well as CASC, which is the California Association of School Counselors. And I am a level 2 Google certified educator, a national board candidate for school counseling. And also in my day job, I am a head counselor and dean of students at a high school in San Francisco. And I did just want to remind everyone that this video is going to be recorded, both for my personal use to critique myself and to see where I can learn and where I can improve, and also to look at things that did go well so that I can keep on doing them so I can better connect with everyone. and just look at the chat for the link to where you can ask questions. And most importantly, school is going to start on Monday. I don't know about the other districts that are represented, but it is the most important thing to not stress, to sit back, relax, take notes, and enjoy. And feel free to note your questions, let me know. And also, even after this is over, I'm always available at theflipschoolcounselor@gmail.com. So you can just send me an email asking any further questions. And so by the end of this presentation, I do wish that, well, I know that you all will have a template on how to evaluate your transcripts online, because I'm going to send that to you. This is a document that I created myself from an absolute blank Excel sheet or blank Google Sheets, and so I am okaying that you take it, make a copy of it, and make it your own. And also, I do wish that everyone does understand the use of electronic transcripts on Google Classroom, because, and specifically for distance learning, because in this particular circumstance, it does fall under the MOU that you do have with your between your district and with Google. And then also, most importantly, I do want everyone to understand how to manipulate and make changes so that this document can suit your needs in your district. And so the reasoning behind this is that we are challenged and are tasked to do what we did in our regular brick and mortar schools in distance learning. And so we have many, many, many things to do as school counselors. But always at the end of the day, the parents and the kids want to know, is my child graduating? And also at the end of the day, despite what has happened in real life, for high school, if you do not have the amount of credits, and most importantly, the appropriate credits in the appropriate sections, then the child is not graduating. And so what having an electronic transcript evaluation does is that it does allow for automatic calculation of credits. It does allow for yourself as well as for the student to even have a red flag of when a grade is either not high enough for something, or when a student does need to retake that course. And we will, when we're doing the presentation, we will review that. And so also, what school counselors will need to do in order to maintain this document is that you will still have to go in and manually log in the grades. And the second point, that actually is an optional point of marking off when a student has completed a requirement. I personally do that just because it does help lower the students' anxiety. And that is one major thing that school counselors can do, even if this is something very short and sweet and easy to do. Because when I use this document, most times I have the student next to me and I turn my screen so that I can show the student. But of course, it's going to look different nowadays, or in our season of this pandemic. We can probably show the screen or just email the document to the student. But when we were back in the brick and mortar, I would show the student the screen, explain to them what everything meant, and then I would cross out the requirements that the student has made, so that they can have that satisfaction of checking something off and saying, oh, I completed that. I don't need to worry about that. And one thing, this is one of the major reasons why I chose to do this, is that when you create this document, you automatically share it with the student. And so for that, you don't have to worry about it becoming missing, or most importantly, because the student can pick it up or can take a look at it by just logging in with their username and with their password. And so everything is password protected, and that is very good for us. And so Also, another thing is that, this allows us to virtually monitor graduation progress and also note the credit recovery needs of the students. And so this is something we are going to go over and answer in just a few minutes of what specifically is the electronic transcript review, when to use it, and also how to make changes. And I'm going to email you this deck so that you can make any more notes if you would like. And so this is what the document looks like. But most importantly, we are going to go over to Google Classroom, and we are going to see how to share this with students and what that does look like. And so I'm going to go over to the classwork section and then go down to the folder of where it is. I can either scroll down or I can just go to the college application folder, and then it is going to be in here. Okay, and so it is the first thing, and what we are looking at is the the school counselor view of Google Classroom, and this is the assignment that we are looking for. And so what I did, and I'm just going to the edit function just to show you what this is going to look like when you're actually creating this assignment for the student. And so I'm actually going to go back to show you from the absolute beginning. So when you are creating the assignment, you go to the top where it says create, and then you select assignment. And so you want to be specific in creating this document and make sure that you do not do material, because for assignment, it does one of the most important things, which does allow you to make a copy for each student of what your template is. And so now I'm just going to scroll down to the college application, or I just went and clicked on the folder. And then I'm going to open this up by going to edit. And this is what it looks like when you are creating the assignment. So I just typed in the title and also a little blurb of some type of conversation that I want to have with the students, or just information that I want them to know. And then I have attached the actual transcript, the transcript template. And this is what I used last week, so that's why I still have that noted here. And right over here is where it says that each student will get a copy. When you are initially putting this in, you have the choice of each student will get a copy, or allow students to edit the document, or allow students to only view the document. So you, as a counselor, you will probably rarely use the allow students to edit. But for me, in regards to assignments, I have only used assignments for each student will get a copy. If I want students to only be able to view, then I will just do a material so that I don't need to click on this extra step. And so for assignments, for this particular assignment, for the electronic transcripts, I never put in a due date. And let me go up to show everything that is here. So I always do it for all students, and because of course all the students are on my caseload. And also I will make it for ungraded. And this is because this is a document that the students will not have to complete and give back to me. So I just leave that as ungraded. I never put a due date, because the due date is really, the graduation day, and they're not going to be giving me anything. And then I have it in the folder in the topic of college application process. You can, even while you are creating this document, you can put it in a folder or topic, or you can go create topic and then type in whatever you want, or just have it out and in front as no topic. And then there's also an option to put a rubric, but for this particular assignment, I don't do that because I personally only use rubrics for when students have to turn something back to me. And I use that 3-tier system of 2 is that it was completed on time, 1 that it was completed but the student turned it in late, and then 0 that it was not applicable or that the student did not do it. And so to more of the meat of this discussion, I do have all of the things that the student is going to need in regards to transcript. So I do have a video that I made of a transcript of just an overview of how a student specifically can read a transcript. And then I also have have the link to where the student does request the transcript. And then this is a Google form. And so when the student goes into this assignment, they can go and look at what their transcript review is, and then they can say, oh, well, I want to see what it really is, just to make sure that Ms. Walker did it correctly or something like that. And so they can go and request their transcript there. And also, they can go here for when they do need an official transcript, for when they are applying to the colleges and they do need their official transcript. They can go here to this assignment and get that then. And excuse me. Sorry, I just need to go and find where that is because I have closed my personal thing. So I'm surprised that is ringing. But here we are. Okay, there we go. Turn off notifications. Okay, so I apologize for that, but this is real life. And going back to, okay, so going back to where we are, now we have the nitty gritty. And so we can go and click here for where our transcript review is. And so when the student clicks on here, the student is going to actually have the Sheets document open up, and then the student will be able to see it just exactly how it is over here. And also the student will be able to, if you do not protect it, then the student will be able to make changes. So this is why I just strongly recommend that that once you create the classroom, and that this is one of, if not the first assignments that you put on, just because when you are going through all of the documents, you will be able to easily click. Each student can only view and not make any changes. Just because when the student clicks on it, they actually are the owner of the document. And so you do want, or the co-owner of the document. So you just want to make sure to go, when you are going through the reviews, that you go and make it so that the students cannot make any changes. However, this is real life. And so if and when you add this after you do have some students on here, just make a note saying, student, this is a document that I will be using to track your progression. So do not make any changes to the document. In my experience in using this in the past 6 years, I have not had any. Oh no, I have had one student add in like 1 grade, and that was it. And so I think that this document is pretty overwhelming for kids. And so I don't think that it's really going to be much of a problem for your kids to not go in and make any updates. But as a school counselor, when you are looking up these documents and putting in the grades and doing the transcript review, you are actually not going to click on this link. You are going to go and open up this document by just clicking on the top, and then you're going to see all of your students. And so you're probably, because usually you are going to do grade level classrooms. And so you're probably going to have, anywhere from 100 to 400 students on average. And so it's going to have all of them over here on this right-hand side. And then to review the transcripts, I'm assuming most times it's going to be in alphabetical order. So you can print out your transcripts in alphabetical order, or you can do like how I prefer, to have all of the transcripts like on one side of the screen, and then have this transcript review on the other side of the screen, so that you can just always be looking at the screen and then just type in the updates. And so this is a document that was added on to Google Classroom as an assignment. Each student does get their own copy of this assignment. And then when the school counselor goes into the assignment, she is able to see all of them individually and go in and update each document individually, just like how you would with the regular transcript review. Instead of writing them, you actually do put this onto the computer, and then the student will be able to see all of your updates that you have done in real time. And so we have already put in the student's name. And then for this document, it actually is best not to do this on your own, or not to, like when you initially do this, to have the student there so that you can talk to the student, find out, who the best contact people are for that student, find out what their interests are. And I did start collecting this information because I wanted it for if and when I got notices of scholarships or of after school programs or of anything. I wanted to be able to go into my Google Drive and just type in like art, or type in dancing, type in something like that. And then these transcript reviews would, transcript evaluations would be able to pop up. And so, for that reason, because this can be shared with, that this is automatically shared with the student specifically, and it can be shared with their parents. And also, if their parents are, if their parents give consent, it can be shared with other people, like an aunt and uncle who is really supportive of the student, or with a CBO or something like that. But most importantly, it is best to just share with the student, just because it is password protected, because it does have the actual grades on here. And then there is an option to go and click on these upside down triangles, and that will pull the drop down menu. And so we have here what the student's plan is for after graduation. They can choose any of these options. These were all of the options that my students had at my school. So yours may be different, but these are the options that I had. And all of these would just go, and they would just populate, and nothing more would happen. However, for the sole situations where you do have a senior that absolutely you have no idea of what their next step is, and they have no idea what their next step is, then you do click unknown, and then this turns into red, because that literally is a red flag of basically that just means that the student is going to be a dropout. And in my years of using this, I've only had one senior who actually fell in that line. And of course, school was not the most important thing in her life. But this is just a way to kind of make note of that. And but so for this intents purposes, we can just say, because most of our students are going to be or maybe half of our students are going to be 4-year or university bound. And also we can say career objective or whatever. We can all read that later on. And then And then we have the grades that the student has earned. And I'm just going to habitually just click on the bottom, click on the meat just to refresh it. Just so I'm hoping that we don't get disconnected again. But at least I'm not hearing that buzz that I heard before it crashed. But in going back down to the middle section, this is where we put in the grades. And so how this is organized is this has all of the graduation requirement, and this is per the district or per that school. And actually, this is per that school, because what this is, and this has to do with what we have over here, is that most of our students are on a particular path. For my district, we call it plans. My district has 5 plans, 5 graduation plans. However, 3 of them are used at the high school level. So this is why I just have 1, 2, and 3. So plan 1 is for the mainstream students. That is for the total of 230 credits for graduation. Plan 2 is for our English learner students, and so they can graduate with 180 credits. And then we have our Plan 3 students that can graduate with 180 credits. And also for these two, you do also have to have a meeting with the family and have documentation of when they are going to be off of Plan 1. And oh, I didn't mention that Plan 3 was for our students who either missed, I believe it's missed 2 or more years of education, of official education, I should say, and also if they were incarcerated and they transferred in their junior or senior year. And so we can connect that plan to whatever the graduation requirements are. And then in a minute, we're going to talk about how to make changes to that. But I do want to just show how easy it is to put in the grades. And when you have the transcript, you just literally can go and copy and type in the grades for the student and that the student has earned. And what this looks like is that we do have a space for middle school, and this is, you will have to follow the rules that your district has in regards to how the high school can take in middle school credit, because sometimes a student will take a year or 2 of Spanish or whatnot, but they will not pass the test needed to make that high school credit. And so you just want to follow whatever your district's protocol is for this before you do just take the transcript and put it on here and give them high school credit. And then we have the 9th through 12th grade. And so how this is we have the first column, which is for the fall. Second column is for the spring. And then after that, there is a section for credit recovery, because unfortunately, not all of our students will automatically pass all the classes that they take. And so in my school, when I actually did make this, our 9th graders were not able to take night school. So that's why I have that blocked off, but they were able to take summer school. And in summer school, they can only take 2 courses. So this is why there are 2 slots for the summer school. However, the 10th through 12th graders are allowed to do night school, and are also allowed to do Saturday school. So this is why there are these 3 sections for night school and Saturday school in the fall, and then night school and Saturday school in the spring. And then, of course, when filling this out, you, of course, want to talk to your student when you are making their schedule and look at this and make sure that that is realistic. And so I particularly used this form. I used this form many times. One was in the fall in having the senior meetings and going over, okay, so you have all of these credits, and you want to do X, Y, and Z. You're on track for for a 4-year, on track for a 2-year. Is that still the case? Do you want to see if you can do any more credits to make that a 4-year? Just have a conversation like that. But also, more importantly is when the students are younger, for the present 9th through 11th grade, when we meet with our students individually in February through March, or sometimes through April, um, we go through this document as well. And this is when we do put in the fact that the student will take night school, or will take summer school, or will take Saturday school. And then we say, okay, this is what your schedule is going to look like next semester. Will that be realistic? Because we will have those students who did, who either had extra things going on in their freshman and sophomore years, and then they want to make up all of their credits, and then they take a full schedule during the day, have both night school classes and Saturday classes, and you just want to have a very full and real conversation with the kids and say, you are going to be in school taking classes more hours than you are awake. Is that really realistic for you, knowing that you don't even like school like that? Just having real conversations like that. And most importantly, the kids will be able to look and see the classes they're going to take and see how much it is, so that it makes it easy for them to understand, and also easier for the parents to understand. And so that is pretty much the overview of this document. And so let's get into how to make changes. And so when, for example, those students who don't do particularly well in their, in whatever time, and they do need to make up a class. So let's just say this one kid gets a D in English, and let's say that they say, oh, they're not a math person, and so they get an F in math. And so I do want to point out the fact that this will automatically turn into blue, and that the Fs will automatically turn into red. So this is because this is specific to my district, in that my district says that it wants all of the graduates to follow the same protocol as students who are going into a UC or a CSU. And so I did it again. I used the acronyms. So our UCs are University of California. So that's like schools like Cal or Berkeley, whichever way you want to describe it. UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, all of them, they're all UC schools. And of course, they're at the higher echelon of schools. And then our CSUs are California State Universities. And so they go by a requirement system that is called A through G requirements. And so we have our A requirement is English, and so on and so forth. And so these are the requirements that all students need for graduation. And how our district does it is that if a student earns a D, then they still can, that technically is still considered earning credit for graduation. However, that does not mean, that does not make them that does not make them A to G compliant. And so this is why this is blue, because that just means that there's a little flag, not a big flag, but a little flag. It's still like, oh, you're not going to be able to go to a 4-year school technically, but you're still graduating, so that is okay. But if and when they get an F, that means they get absolutely no credit. And so this is why this is red, because it means that they absolutely will have to retake the course. And then another thing that I do want to point out is that when you do put in a grade, the credits are calculated down here at the bottom. And so it has total credits for each year. The student does not have any middle school credit, but for freshman year, they earned 5 credits in the summer, 5 credits in the fall, 5 credits in the spring. And these are from English. So even though this is a different color, this says that this student did earn his or her English credits. And most importantly, what a lot of the kids and families just want to know is how many total credits do I have? And so that is here, like highlighted with a red square. And so I do always point that out to students, but most importantly, I say it does not matter if you have 1,000 credits by the time that it is, time for you to graduate. If you do not have the 40 English credits, if you do not have the 30 history credits, 30 math credits, that makes you out of compliance for our graduation requirements and you are not graduating. So we really want to focus on the credits that are listed here and not necessarily all the credits that are calculated over here, even though it does say you need 230 credits for graduation. And so, so since everyone is in a different district, let's just say your district requires 50 credits for graduation, or more likely than not, your district goes by a different way of calculating credits. Let's say there's 1 credit per semester, and so, 1 credit per year, and so you are going to need 4 credits for graduation. Then you can just say this, and that will change. That will change, and that will show the updated credits. Or if there is something else that you need, like I do believe having students take college and career and health is specifically a California thing. If you want to take that off, you can. And what I did was that I just highlighted the number over here to highlight the entire row. And then I right click to get this pop-up menu. And then I can just say delete these rows. And that doesn't disturb anything else. It only will focus on those sections that I highlighted. Or more likely than not, when you have students who had some challenges and they had to take a lot of extra classes in order to get ready for graduation, you can always add them in. And so let's just say for our kid who had to retake algebra during school, you could either highlight the below section or highlight this section in and of itself, and then right click, and then you are going to see and then you are going to see the pop-up. And so you can go and insert 2 rows below. And then what I particularly do, just to keep everything the same format, is I will just copy and paste what I want it to look like. And then actually, let's just do the whole thing. And this will copy and paste the entire format, because before it wasn't copying the borders. And so we just want to keep it that way. So let's just say first time they failed Algebra 1. And so we're not going to put it under the freshman. We are going to put this over here. So they're going to take both at the same time. And then we can just go and later on put in whatever their grades were. So they got it together, got a tutor, and then they passed with flying colors. One thing to note is that we have it here so that you can click on these drop downs and then actually select the courses that the student will take. I also automatically put in the general trajectory of students. We do have it so that all of our students take English 1, Algebra 1, Biology, PE, and whatever the elective is that they choose, and college and career as 9th graders. That is the standard general 9th grade schedule. And then for 10th grade, it is standard to have English 2 and world history and so on and so forth. But there are other options. So like for example, they may be world history honors, or in my new school, we have AP world history, that we did not have at my old school. And so those are things that you can make specific to your school and to your needs. So how do you do that, may you ask? It's very simple. We love our right click, or as I like to call our 2-finger click, because if you have a Mac, then you just do 2 fingers, and then you are going to get this drop down menu. And then we're going to go all the way down to the bottom to data validation. And then this is where you are able to put in those options. You can do it one of two ways, but in those ways, you're only going to use list of items or list from range. I have chosen to use list of items just because everything is here, but list of range, that means that you are going to a different place, and you are just highlighting where that information is. So we're gonna show both parts, because I actually have both examples here in this document. But for the courses, we just want to write them down exactly how it is. So we have one course, comma, with no space, one course, and then whatever the second course is. And then we want to either, for this particular purpose, I chose show warning. If it was something that I was sharing with someone else or sharing with the student and I wanted it to be exactly one way, then I would say reject input. And so if I kept reject input, that means that that the person putting something in would not be able to make that insertion at all, and that's not what I want. So so I just have show warning, and then show validation text help. That never hurts to have any help. And so with that, since we have the show warning, this is one of the things that it shows, and then we're able to just go click on that and then click either English 2, English honors, or whatnot. And so from this example that we gave with the algebra, if the student was only taking one math class, then we would be able to not even have to have that second row. So we would just delete row. And then we can go to, this is, so algebra 2 is listed here. So let's say let's say a miracle happened and the student, came to his senses and took 1,000 math classes and now is a wizard. So we can go and say, okay, so now this student is going to go into AP Computer Science, Science Java. So because this is AP Computer Science Java is not in the dropdown, it will just have this little sideways triangle, and then it will have that pop up that you see, just saying that this course is not in the list, like the list of approved courses that you gave. So something is wrong, but I'm still able to put the information in. And that was how we do it with the list version. And so with the homeroom teacher version, it is a little bit different. And so for homeroom teachers, we still, for our daily use, we still have it where we can just go and click on the upside down triangle. However, in the actual setup of this is a little bit different. And so what we did, oops, I only one clicked instead of right clicked. Okay, so what we did, we're going to either 2-finger click or we are going to right click, go to data validation, and then we see that list from range has been selected. And it also says HR and CM, and it just shows where this is. And so what that means in English is that this document and this cell particularly is taking information from this. Let me move this over. Whoops, I made my screen a little bit too big. Okay, so this cell is taking information from this tab and from only this column over here. And so if we wanted to change it, let's just say we wanted to have it take the case manager names, we can just go click on here, erase what was there, and then we are going to click on this tab and then highlight these names to show that these are the names that we want to choose from. And so I am also highlighting all the way down to the bottom, because if and when let's say the school hires another case manager, or that someone leaves, I don't want to have to go back to make changes to where the information is being pulled. I just want to go and just add in another name and keep it pushing. And so right after I did that highlight, this information was updated over here. And this says from this tab, which is the HR and CM, from this tab from B2 to B16. So that is B2 right over here to B16 right over here. And then we also see that it's highlighted, so we don't need to really double check that. And then click OK. So it will transfer that information over to the cell over here, and then we can hit save, and then just go back to the document. And so when we are inputting the information for the student and we go to type in the homeroom teacher, now instead of the homeroom teachers, we have all of the case managers over here. And lastly, I did want to just point out, or I guess two things. One, something that I started and I thought that I was really going to hound students about, but I actually never did, was this last part. And here I asked the students to go and share it with their parents. And then also go and click to make a note that yes, they have shared it, or no, they have not shared it with them. So when the answer is no, I have it as a red so that when I'm going over it with them, I would remember. Or yes, they have shared it with them. So then when I'm going over it with them, then I can say, oh, great, you shared it with your parent. But I personally, in my practice, never really put too much on that. But if you want to do that, then you definitely can. But I thought I did, but in practice, I never did that. But I did focus on everything else. And one thing that I also did was I have a little key over here, because for how our district is that our students do need to have 50 credits, 50 elective credits. And they need to take these classes. One is going to be college and career, and another is going to be health. And also in their 50 elective credits, they need to have 10 credits that are considered what's a G elective. And so that also is a nod to our A through G credits. And so if you have a similar situation, I don't know what it may be, but for us, it is kind of confusing to the kids and to explain to the kids that they need 50 elective credits, but 10 of them have to be of something else that is very specific. So this is why I just say you need to have 50 credits, and one of them has to be this purple thing, or else I know that, that you're not on track for graduation. And so that's just why I just have that key over here to remind myself to explain to the student, even if it's each and every time I meet with them in our transcript evaluation meeting. But I just need to explain to the student where they are in this transcript evaluation, where they are in their graduation process, and just make sure that they understand what is being asked of them, and what the next semester, what their year is going to look like. And that is pretty much it. So I will stop and ask to see if there are any questions.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go
ahead.
Oh, when you first start this process, do you upload start your process with just say 150? You have 150 seniors, maybe 100 juniors, like that. So do you just put in 150 blank transcripts review and then start from there, or how do you start the process?
Yes. So I start the process with going on to Classroom and creating that assignment, and it will automatically assign a transcript review to each and every student. And so how my classrooms are organized is that they are organized by grade level. And so I'm intense, so I did all of them. But I do know that other counselors at my school, they actually started with the ninth graders because they had already had transcript reviews for all the other classes, and so they were just going to grandfather them out. And they just thought that it was easier to just go with the ninth graders and just do one semester at a time and keep it going that way. But for me, I just wanted to do it for all of them. So I did start with doing this, having my seniors and everyone else on Classroom, and I actually did the transcript reviews for the seniors first, just because it was more important for our seniors, to be on that same page. And then I just trickled it down, but but it really just depends on what you feel more comfortable with. For me, I guess I kind of took I think it's a Marine or an Army statement of if and when you feel like you know something or that you're 70% ready, just jump in and do it, and then you'll figure the other 30% out. And then that's just kind of where I was. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I knew that I can do it, and I felt at least 70% ready, and I just jumped in and it worked out pretty well. I did make some mistakes, but for the transcripts, there weren't really too many mistakes just because I had been doing transcripts for so long. I also had a written backup, and so if I needed to go to the written backup, then I could, but I never did it just because it's identical.
Okay, and one more question about I know you were saying that it depends on the type of students you have if will go in and change and try to
Mhm.
edit. I have the type of students that will do that.
Okay.
So what process did you use so they cannot edit? Could you show that again?
Yep. And oops, let me go do something different. So what I just did, and I'm just going to explain what I am seeing and what is being shown on the screen, is that I just clicked and opened up Blaze's transcript review, and then I just remembered that this was in Google Classroom, so I cannot share or change the settings in Classroom. So this is why I need to go over here to where to where the link to the actual Sheets document is, and then it's going to open that up. Okay, so now we are in the actual Sheets document, like under Google Sheets instead of under Google Classroom. And then, I'm hearing my computer fan, so I'm hoping that we are still able to stay connected. But what this does is that I'm able to go over here to share, and it says shared with Blaze, and so then I'm going to open up the what are these called? The share properties. And so I do have it. Okay. And so what I would recommend doing is it's kind of taking notice of what students you have that will go in and make changes. And if all of your students would do it, then I would consider doing something a little bit differently, like maybe in a parent meeting, like in a mass parent meeting, going over this thing and telling parents that kids are not allowed to do this. Or I would maybe go through the process of changing the ownership over to yourself. And I say this because what I'm seeing here is that when we do make this assignment, Blaze is considered the owner, and And what I have here is exactly. And so what I have here is that I'm being added on to here. And so I personally would not feel comfortable with doing that. I personally would have it so that I would be the owner of it. But yeah, for that and to protect the integrity of the transcript review, I would I would have it so that the kids would go and change the ownership over to me. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to go over how to change ownership of a document. So this document I have already shared with my personal email address. And in order to change the ownership of it, I first go back to the share button. And then right over here, I'm going to see that the Flip School Counselor is the owner. And I want to make Teyanna Nicole the owner. So what I do is I just click on the upside down triangle that is by editor, and then I click on make owner. So this is what you will need to do in order to make yourself the owner of the transcript reviews. So I have found it to be very easy to just walk each student through this when you do have your individual meeting with the students. However, that was in person. So in our realm of virtual learning, you can just get the students' permission and then just log into their account and change the ownership. Okay, so no more no other credits, no other questions in our document. And so if you are typing or if you just want to shout them out, then you can. And if not, then we are going to continue. Okay, and um, so now we have seen the demonstration. And I am going to send everyone the link to this slide deck, and then you are going to be able to just click on here, and everyone has view rights of this document. And so you can just go and make a copy of it, and then that will be your own document. So you will have the edit rights to it, and then you'll be able to make any changes that you wish. And then I also have a link over here to a YouTube playlist of just going over what we just went over in this session. And also, this is a link to the form that I went over in regards to how to request a transcript. So you can just go to this, and then you will be able to just copy these questions when you are remaking your own form for transcript requests. And we just went over questions, and so now we are in the feedback section. And so let me go, and I'm going to put this link in the chat. And I do just ask that you give feedback in regards to what we talked about, what you learned, if you had any other questions or would like to consult or anything. I do look at the feedback, and I do take everything into consideration, just so that, oops, let me retype that because that was not the correct thing. So, okay, I forgot the W's. Okay, and so so I do take everything into consideration in regards to what I can do the next time and how I can do things better. And I do appreciate your time and your attention and your energy. And I do thank you oh so very much for coming. And of course, I'm always going to be available. You can always send me an email at theflipschoolcounselor@gmail.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can with any answers that I do have. And also, just to validate your time more, I am going to put a link in the chat so that you are going to be able to get a certificate of attendance for this meeting. And so it'll take about 30 seconds for you to just put in your name and an email address, and then your certificate of participation or your certificate of attendance will be emailed to you. And then if necessary, if you have any other questions or anything that you want to shout out, you can just unmute yourself and do so. But if not, then just please fill out the feedback and have a beautiful day. But thank you so much to everyone.